On to you, Libras. So for you, Libras, you have the Chariot, the Queen of Wands, and the King of Cups. So the Chariot right here is about, okay, so the Chariot is about you, Libras, like I said before. You're going from one transformation that you had before onto another. Because the Chariot is also about self-transformation, or transformation period, from trials and tribulations, hard time, but needing to reinvent oneself. And what does the Chariot do? It rolls, it travels. It takes you from one place to another, one place to another of your, of course, your destination, of course, of your choosing. And the thing is that the Queen of Wands and the King of Cups, for you Libras, it has been a tumultuous and a hard change, a difficult change at first. But now you Libras are learning to actually like the changes that you are experiencing. And your mind is opening up. Before, it may have been you being in a relationship and the comfort that this relationship gives to you. But now, a lot of you Libras are learning to not hold on to anything or to anyone too tightly. Because you hold on to anyone too tightly, it's a lose-lose situation. If you hold on to them, and if they do not want to be kept, they will fight and do everything that they possibly can to rebel and get away from you. And holding on to them will only make them more angry at you. But at the same time, letting them go is going to break your heart. But the heartbreak will only be for a short period of time if you allow it to only be for a short period of time. If you physically let them go, right, or say that you've let them go and they've left, and you still very much so are emotionally and mentally and spiritually are attached to them, it will hurt forever. It will hurt for a very long period of time. But a lot of you Libras are learning that it's the best policy to not hold on, especially, certain people that are really causing you Libra stress. Because a lot of you Libras have really started to review at how the changes that you're going through are changes that you really did need in order to give you a swift kick in the behind, right? To wake up this this sleeping giant in you, because a lot of you Libras are realizing that you are very much so very much so comfortable in the delusion of the idea of having this, relationship where it's like, the ex gives you a hard time and all this other type of nonsense. So a lot of you Libras are realizing that a functional relationship should not constantly be dramatic, where it's you and the person in a power struggle. It should actually be, and I'm saying it too, it should actually be quite stable. Now see, to the person who doesn't understand what it is that they're looking for, they will consider it to be boring. But again, it just depends on it honestly depends on what it is that you call boring at the end of the day. Because it really depends on where your mind is and how developed your mind is. Like if you know what I'm saying? Like if you think, drink, like if you think getting a couple of drinks is exciting, that may be exciting to you. If you think puff passing is a good thing for you, then it's good for you. It just honestly, it depends. And then even when you do that, how much do you actually want to continue to do that? Right? So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It really just depends on who it is that you're talking to. So why that's important in the first place is the King of Cups is about you Libras are learning how to step into the higher order of Libra, where you're learning to be way more strategic, and that not being aware of your surroundings is not the way to go. Right? Like, and what I mean by that is Libras are strategists, and Libras have the bully type, the talkative type, the intelligent type, and the naive type. And the naive type is giving y'all a lot of problems because we're now in a time, Libra, and mark my words on this. Tell me if I'm lying in the comment section. I want you, Libras, to go to the comment section and create more of a conversation. But tell me if I'm lying. We're living in a time right now where if you play stupid, people are going to try to take advantage of you. So we're, this is not the art of war. This is what I'm talking about. This is why the art of war is about strategies. This is why the 48 laws of power is about strategies. It's about you don't necessarily have to implement all of those strategies all at one time, but you just pick out a couple of strategies that you already naturally do. You feel what I'm saying? That you already do. You already have an affinity to do. It's already something as a part of your nature. Like in the 48 laws of power with me, I naturally resonate. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to give you all the game. I always got to keep a card or two up my sleeve. But for me, it's the it's law number one, never outshine the master. That's something that I naturally gravitate to because it's something that I naturally do. I like to keep quiet if preferably, I would prefer that while the other person predominantly does the talking. And that has nothing to do with being weak or being scared to speak up for myself. But what it has to deal with is reading the room and understanding my environment. Most people, Libra, are vain. So we're living in a time where what's going to happen if you, like for me, people are starting to recognize me right outside of YouTube. So if I hang out with a person who is more famous than I, that recognizes me, you see what I'm saying? I'm going to have to let that person get more of the fame than me, even though this person may know both of us, because I would much rather allow that person to get the shine than me. For me, I'm already making my plays, but I understand what worked for me. And just like you Libras have to understand what worked for you. Is being in the forefront and in the spotlight working for you, or is being behind the scenes working for you? Why that's important is because the 9 of Wands and the 3 of Cups. That's the same way that you date. That's the same way that you interact with others. That's the same way on how you build your life up. When you Libras date, this is another element of the game too. You have to know how you Libras date. Do you date on the low, or do you date where it's very loud? Case in point, celebrities. A lot of the times, celebrities date loudly. Who they hanging out with, paparazzi catches them, and then they make it into a big thing. They publicize it. Or is it that you want something more quiet? You getting to know the person, but like it is, I said before, you keeping a lot of people out of your business, right? That's how it is that you or one of the ways that you're supposed to date. So the 6 of Pentacles and the 8 of Cups now represents, for people where you can't do that with them, then you have to essentially let them go. If a person cannot keep their mouth shut, and they running around constantly keeping a mouth open, blabbering to everybody that they possibly can, then obviously those are not really the people that you should be taking quite seriously, nor should you keep them around. And the thing is that The Eight of Cups and the Devil, like I was talking about, represents how your mind has been opened to quite a lot. And part of what of your mind has been open to is the fact that, you know, how insignificant and how low level and downstairs people can think. Very short-sighted. Why this is an impossible thing. I ain't gonna say impossible thing. Why this is a real thing, and it is possible, and it is happening, right? I said impossible by mistake. Sorry about that. But why this is why this is a thing is because of the fact that you Libras, right? Your mind is opening up, like I said before. You know, it's not as introductory as you thought it was, right? Where a person introduces themselves and you can trust that introduction, right? You Libras are realizing that it's rarely that where a person will show you bits and pieces of who they are up front, and then they are that person consistently, right? You realize that it's usually a curve where they show you a very good rendition, an act, a fake of who they portray themselves to be, right? Like the perfect mate. And then they as you get to know them more and more and more intimately, they kind of curve, they dip, they lower, they get worse over time and they decline, as opposed to getting better, where it's again starts off unassuming because you don't know the person, you just getting to know them, and then over time it starts to rise, it starts to go on the incline where, you know, you start to find out something more about the person, how spiritual the person is. You know, the person has a good relationship with their family. You know, the person has some money in the bank. The person has some assets to their name. Now you start to learn these things in time. So the Ten of Swords and the Queen of Cups now is about how, and when you see someone who doesn't have these types of traits, once again, Libra, stay away from them. Because the Ten of Swords and the Queen of Cups is about you Libras are aspiring to have those great traits for yourself, where you're more in touch with family members and the family is much more tight-knit. You want those things to happen. And you Libras are probably working on those things. Whatever is broken that isn't working, a lot of you Libras are actually working to try to see, at the very least, the bare minimum, to see if it can actually work. So you Libras are really doing the work. You're doing good work. Let's clarify the Queen of Cups. Queen of Swords, the Devil card, the Magician, the Six of Pentacles, and the Ten of Swords. So as it is that you're talking to some people, the Queen of Swords and the Devil represents you trying to see how it is that they interact with you and how you interact with them. Are they coming off immediately and are they grifty? Trying to get you to pay for something and take care of them or whatnot? Or is it that, you know, is it a two-way street where they're honest and they're fair about how they're approaching you? Then you have the Ten of Swords. You know, if a person is coming in already with that type of grifty mindset, then they're going to be coming in already under the assumption that you Libras owe them something. But you Libras, y'all know what time it is. You Libras know to stay away from anybody like that. Right now, you Libras are just looking to date. And you're just testing the waters to see who out here is actually good individuals in the first place.